All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Nick Pettis, and I'm here with Castin Chamberlain and Mr. Jason Hamm of Murrieta Mesa High.
Hello.
So I've got a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
As an administrator, how would you say distance learning has changed your job?
I would say that because it's so new and everything we're doing, I would say that my job has become extremely difficult. Doing a lot more home visits, reaching out to students there, trying to get them connected, trying to problem solve technology. I've probably learned more about technology through this whole pandemic than I ever would have imagined, which has been a good thing. I also feel that I got in the right profession because I really miss not having kids on campus. Not having students here and being able to speak to them and talk to them. Some you realize that this is where they receive, it's a positive place for them. And being at home and reaching out to them at home, I'm seeing what they're going through, so I understand how important it is for them to come to high school. And I think that's so valuable. No matter what the learning is, it's just a positive place where they get to be kids, and some of them have to go home and be adults and work and help with siblings, which isn't a bad thing, but I can see how important it is for them to be a kid here on campus.
Definitely. I definitely felt that way when I was at Murrieta Mesa.
That's good.
Have you had any behavioral issues from your students during distance learning? If so, are they easier or more difficult to manage in an online environment versus being on campus?
Excellent question. I would say that a majority of the issues were in the beginning, where I think we had to change the mindset of the students that this semester was going to count. As you knew, being a senior, leaving in March, you guys knew your grades weren't going to change. So I think changing that mindset. So in the beginning, we had a lot of silly things that I had to discipline, which were policed by teachers. But, you know, what was the beginning, like the Zoom bombing, and we learned as a school or as a district, you know, authenticating our Zoom links, and so outsiders couldn't get in. We became better at that. I would say that was in the beginning. Now it's keeping kids on task. The tough part is they're not here for me to talk to. So it's a phone call, it's an email, so it's a longer delay in time for when I can talk to the student and immediately talk to them about discipline.
Okay. Just let me skip down. How do you feel that the mental health of your students have been affected by distance learning?
I actually think it's been very severe. I think that once again, being on campus is very important, and I think the mental wellness, social and emotional for students is severe. You know, I think kids are, home is for home. It's not for school, and now it is in both. It's being used as both. So to get out and socialize and do fun things with friends, it isn't happening right now in this pandemic. So I think some children are getting, or students are getting depressed. There's severe depression, anxiety. It's all unfamiliar territory, and I think that's creating a lot of anxiety, which is leading to, you know, depression, withdrawal. So I think it is, during this pandemic, I think it's very severe.
How are your counselors meeting the mental health challenges of your students?
You know, it's been really good is that the counselors are doing one-on-one, so they're treating it as if they're on campus. As you know, Nick, the counselors do the one-on-one with all grade levels. So them doing this with students is allowing them to get in contact with them even through the virtual and check on them both emotionally and academically. And what's been a great resource for us is that teachers have been reaching out to counselors, recognizing behaviors of students and making the counselors aware, or as you know, Ms. Hirsch or Ms. Bartlett, our school psychologist and social worker, are able to reach out to these students. Or, for example, Ms. Hirsch and I go on some home visits and make the connection with them and Ms. Hirsch so they can talk to her via Zoom virtually for more help.
All right. What has been a surprise, both positive and negative, about distance learning?
Positive? No tardies. No, I'm just kidding. Positive would be, I think, how resilient some of our students and teachers are in the beginning. You know, the high anxiety for the students, Zoom, Teams, new learning management system, and just being resilient and pushing through. I think the negative is the lack of connection, and the students, the amount of F's that we have with students just because they get so frustrated, and it's a large amount of work. So, and it's not just being home, it's you're home, you get distracted, so you fall behind. And it's not their fault, it's just new. So I think the negative part would be the student engagement. I think that's totally surprised me. One, because of outside issues that they have to deal with a brother, younger brother, or younger sibling, or something they have to do for the family. And then I think the positive, though, on the flip side, as I mentioned, is how resilient the kids have been to fight through and learn. And it's actually been a positive because they've grown up. They've reached out to us. Like, I'm having a problem. They're not afraid to speak for themselves anymore. So, you know, like here in person, they wouldn't come ask me for help. Now, maybe because a face isn't with a name, or, you know, they're easy to come because they're behind a screen. So they're feeling more obliged to reach out.
Okay. Do you miss having personal interactions with students and staff?
Oh, 100%. Like, we started today with one of our English language learners were on campus, and I was so excited to have them on campus, and they were so excited to see us and see Mason be in the classroom. I totally miss the connection with teachers every morning, and as you know, Nick, me doing traffic and saying good morning to everyone, and the interaction, I totally miss it. It's a total bummer, but I try and be that positive person through emails, phone calls, home visits to hopefully, you know, encourage them that this too shall pass and we will be back at school soon. Not soon enough.
Yep. It's been reported that special ed students are falling through the cracks during this time of distance learning. How have you and your staff been able to meet the needs of those students during this time of distance learning?
Yeah, I think we've done a good job with all students, not just special ed, but because special ed students do have a monitoring teacher or a caseload teacher that has those students that they're able to reach out to. But what we've done is we've done a really good job of including the security guards, and they're part of our academic attendance outreach program. So they email and call families. So what we do is we do a weekly check of students that have 15 or more absences throughout the week, period absences. And then when the 6-week grade period came out, we were reaching out to students with 4 or more Fs. So we're holding the students accountable, but also reaching out to parents that might not know that they work at night and their son or daughter's at home in the morning. And so it's just that outreach and communication, making families aware, students aware, and then what the right steps are. The right steps aren't, you know, reaching out to us, it's reaching out to the teacher. That's the one who you need to speak to and what's going on, because they're directly involved with your learning.
How can college students set an example for students learning at a distance right now?
I'm sorry, could you say that again? Repeat it? I'm sorry.
How can college students set an example for students learning at a distance right now?
I think college students could set an example by being personally responsible. I think advocating for themselves, you know, going to class, you know, not staying in bed, setting an example for the youth that, you know, if this is the direction we are going, then we need to hold ourselves accountable. They're going to have to grow up faster in high school. I think your generation is going to be adapt to it or adapt to it more, I think, rapidly, because you had to go through it in March. Not saying it's easy, but now it's kind of like what everybody's saying, it's the new normal, which we all hope it's not. But for right now, I think showing students that, hey, you got to log on, you got to go on to Canvas, you got to communicate with your teacher. I think we're asking students to grow up faster now and not hold their hand and hold them accountable. And I think that's what college students can do, is to lead by example.
All right. That answers all my questions. Castin, do you have anything you want to add?
My question was actually the last question you had, pretty much the same question, but that was all I had.
That's all you had for me? Nicholas stole the show. That's what he did in drama too. He stole the show. I was in one of the school plays and I was with him and he just stole the show from me. So he's the star. I have one question.
How are you doing, sir?
That's excellent. I'm doing well. How are you, Castin?
Good. It's been an interesting semester. I'm going to be honest.
Now, where did you go to high school, Castin?
I was actually homeschooled.
Wow. Okay. Now, whereabouts were you, in Riverside County or?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I went to a small charter school called the Learning Choice Academy. You guys probably have no idea what it is. It only had like 100 students. It was super small.
Well, good for you. Good for
Yeah.
you. And then what's your major? What's your interest in the journalism? Is it journalism or?
My major is psychology.
Good for you. Good for you. Well, it was a pleasure meeting you.